Hello guys, Retrogamerdaz here, guesting on the Games You Loved YouTube channel. Thanks very much to the Games You Loved crew for letting me do this. I've been involved with Games You Loved for quite a few years now, and I thought I'd do a little video for all you guys on this fantastic channel and share with you my retro gaming room and some of my stuff, and have a little bit of retro related chat as well. So yes, I am Daz, and I have got my own YouTube channel which is called also called Retrogamerdaz. Please check it out. And I have been involved with Games You Love now for over 3 years. When I first started getting back into all of this, one of the first expos I went to, I met with the team, and since then I've been doing some writing for the website. I have done articles on my favourite arcade games, my New Year's resolutions, articles about what I used to do as a kid that I don't do anymore. I've written about my favourite movie games. I've done all kinds of different bits and pieces, which has been fantastic, and it's allowed me to get involved with the community, and I've managed to go to some cool events and meet up with people. So if you've ever thought about doing any writing, seriously consider it and get in touch with the guys. It's well worth it. Let's have a look at some of my bits and pieces, and we'll start off with some arcade games.
Operation Wolf. You succeeded in demolishing the communication setup, cutting off the enemy from rescue.
Right, arcade games. So you can see here I've got Operation Wolf. This is one that I picked up this year. Very lucky to have it. And I've also got my Star Wars, custom designed Star Wars MAME arcade machine, which you've saw me playing Robotron on. So let's have a quick look at some of my other bits and pieces. Right guys, let's have a look at my console and computer collection. There's my Sony Trinitron that I use for playing my games on. Next to that I've got my trusty Vectrex, and then over here you can see I've got my ZX Spectrum Plus 2, and then my Commodore. It's Commodore 64, C64C. This one is the one I got for Christmas, 1989. It's my Sega Mega Drive and Saturn, PlayStation 1 and 2, got the GameCube, N64, Super Nintendo, Nintendo Entertainment System. Down here I've got arcade sticks and old plug and play things, Master System 2, Mega Drive 2, and my Dreamcast. This is my game shelf I've got behind me. This is where I keep all of my games and bits and pieces, as you can see. Down here I've got my sofa. Over here's my Operation Wolf cab. My Star Wars cab is just over there on that side of the wall, and in front of me is where I keep all of my consoles and bits and pieces that I just showed you. So let's take a look at some of my games. Right, we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. See, down here I've got some Amiga games, a couple of joysticks. That black box there has got all loose Amiga discs in. I've got some Game Gear games. Haven't got a working Game Gear at the moment. GameCube games, and then just some random bits. This I found recently at a car boot sale. And then if we scroll across, I've got all of my PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 games. These are things I quite often pick up quite cheaply at car boot sales for like 50p a pound, and I've just built them up over the last few years. If we scan up, you can see my Spectrum and C64 games, Robocop 2, got the classic Horace, Ghost Skiing, Werewolves of London, Ghostbusters, one of my all-time favourite games for the Commodore 64. Let's take a look at that. there we go, in the classic clamshell case, as well as Rescue on Fractalus, another one of my favourite Commodore 64 games. Let's pop Ghostbusters back. You can see my Hit Squad games there. I have done a video on my Hit Squad collection on my YouTube channel, so give that a look if you're interested. And then along here, this is where the Star Wars love kicks in. You can see my vintage Star Wars collection. I've got a few figures, got a carded one at the back there, my little mini rigs, my Scout Walker. I've got them all in the box at the moment because it's been a struggle for space since I got the arcade cabs to have everything out completely on display, so this is a bit of a compromise at the moment. Then we move up, a couple of real Ghostbusters figures there. See my Game Boy Advance SP. There's a few Game Boy games, only got the Game Boy recently. Here's my NES collection at the moment. Oh, you can also see Ghostbusters for the Master System up there, I don't know why that's there. Then some loose cartridges, so you can see where my son's been at the Game Boy games. Game Genie as well for the NES. I found that with the Nintendo at the car boot last year. Do check out that video on my channel. It was a good morning, that one. Then along here I've got my Super Nintendo and N64 games. Again, Star Wars quite prominent with the Super Star Wars trilogy. SNES is something I've struggled with collecting just because I just find it hard to get the games for good value compared to Master System and Mega Drive and even the NES to an extent. Then along here I've got my Mega Drive, or the box from the Mega Drive. Got some little Funko Pop figures along with a cool little Mega Man figure that I picked up from Disney World at Epcot earlier this year. A retro gaming mug. My Menacer, I do love a light gun. SNES Mini, Street Fighter 2 Badger as well. This one here is my Darth Vader shelf, where I've got all of my Darth Vader bits and pieces. This guy here is a Sideshow Collectibles Darth Vader figure that I picked up last year. He's really cool. I've got my Darth Vader money box, an alarm clock from back when I was a lot younger. Funko Black Series 40th anniversary at the back there. You can see my 8-bit boutique Star Wars arcade cab there as well, which I was fortunate enough to get recently. And then if we move up, you can see my Mega Drive games. I won't go in full detail and pick all these out. Some of my favourites are at the front on display. Things like Zero Wing, Thunder Force 4, Robocop vs Terminator. They're all some of my favourites. Dragon's Fury, I love playing that all the time. And some recent pickups as well. At the front there. And then you can see my Saturn collection over there in the corner. Got a few games for Saturn, not loads, but something I add to every now and again. Old WWF figure. A few Dreamcast games, got these ones up here, and there's a load of loose discs that I got with my Dreamcast in here. Here's my Vectrex collection, Robin and Bart Simpson there as well. I've got Big Blue. If you have got a Vectrex, check this out. This is a game that came out last year. I picked this up from Revival this year. I missed it out first time. A multi-cart, which has got, oops, that's the screen, overlay screen popping out there for Mindstorm. Multi-cart game. Scramble is an absolute classic on the Vectrex, great conversion. I enjoyed Berserk, I play that quite a bit. There's a lot of the games actually here that I quite enjoy on Vectrex. It's a lovely system to own and to be able to play games on. Then if we move up, you can see my Master System collection. As you can see, due to space, these are all doubled up. Perhaps sometime in the future I might somehow get a bigger room, but we will see. My Millennium Falcon, proudly displayed up the top there. Box Game Gear. 16K ZX Spectrum. Sega Saturn. Dreamcast fishing rods to play Sega bass fishing on. Pong TV game thing. You can see my Scope 6 at the back there. Boba Fett's Slave 1. Again, more Star Wars. My Grandstand tabletop scramble. And you can also see my Amiga 600 is up there at the moment. So there we go, guys. That's my current games collection and Star Wars stuff. Now, as I've said before, I've written for Games You Loved. There's a fantastic blog with lots of cool articles on their website. Check it out. If you've ever fancied writing, give it a go. Why not? Give it a try. The guys at Games You Love would very much encourage you to do so. I'd recommend it if you're interested in writing. Write about what you know, what you feel nostalgic about with regards to games in the past and what you played growing up and the things you did which were related to gaming. I love doing it, and another part of my collection that I've been building up the last year or so is my Mean Machines collection. And in here, this is the final piece of my collection really, is my Mean Machines collection. I've nearly got all of the 24 magazines that were originally released before they split into Mean Machines Sega and Nintendo magazine system. But I've got three I think I've got to go to get them, but in here I've got all the ones that I've managed to collect so far. And I have got, which I'll show you guys quickly, a copy of issue 0. I've got issue 1 as well. There's only 3 that I haven't got to get. But this is, I loved reading this magazine back in the day. This and computer and video games. That's where it was for me when it come to gaming mags. And Mean Machines came out exactly the right time when we were all going mad for consoles. And I could relate to the writers. The articles were funny and they gave you the information you wanted. It was a fantastic magazine, and that's the final part of my collection. You can read these on PDF online, but I just love having the hard copy that if I don't feel like playing a game, I can just come in here, chill out with a drink, with a coffee, or if it's the weekend, a beer in the evening, just read some old school magazines like I would have done in the early 90s. And I just love it. So that's the final piece of my collection in my retro gaming room. Right, so you can see I've got a fairly good variety of bits and pieces. Some of the bits that stand out to me is my Mega Drive, because that was a really big console back in the early 90s when I got that. That was my first 16-bit console. The Commodore 64C that I've got is my original, which I got for Christmas in 1989, and I'd wanted one for years. My first home system was an Acorn Electron, and I had that for 3 years before I eventually got the one that I really wanted, which was the Commodore. I'm lucky enough to have a Vectrex with, as you've seen, a good selection of games. I'm nearly there for a full set of European release games. I've got Nintendo stuff, the Sega stuff. My Nintendo Entertainment System is one I found on a car boot last year. I've done a video on that one as well. That was an £8 purchase from a car boot last spring, back in 2017. Fantastic bargain, best car boot bargain that I've ever found. So there you go, guys, that's my collection. The videos that I make on my channel, Retrogamerdaz, it's all about my pickups. I like to make videos about games that were important to me in the past. I will chat about certain subjects, and there's lots more new stuff coming all the time. So please do check it out. It's been fantastic doing this video for Games You Loved. I hope you enjoy it. Check out my channel. I'm also on Twitter at Retrogamerdaz. You can find me on Instagram at Retrogamerdaz. It's been really great chatting to you guys on here. Thank you, Games You Loved, and see you soon.